The first trailer of the new Jurassic World is the Egyptian god of war, the trailer for The Sixth Destination, the announcement of Battlefield 6, and the analysis of the first teaser of the Fantastic Four. Hello everyone, it's me Artyom again, and I have the news of the week as usual. I'll start again with the revival of the old franchise, which this time looks really trashno and very fresh. Universal Studio has shown the first trailer of the new Jurassic World with the subtitle of Rebirth, which will simultaneously be a return to the roots and a continuation of the last Dino trilogy. And the trailer feels old-fashioned in a good way, with the weddings of the original Jurassic Park and a rather interesting tie, which is a bit like a roadside picnic and a stalker as the heroes go to a state-protected danger zone for materials unique to science. You should have collected more cans. According to the plot, 5 years after the domination of climate change led to another extinction of the dinosaurs. Only creatures in several equatorial ecosystems managed to survive. One of these zones is equipped with a secret mission, the purpose of which is to collect the genetic material of the 3 largest dinosaurs for the development of vital medicines. It's only on the spot that the team discovers that there was a Jurassic Park research center there, where new, even more dangerous dinosaurs were bred, including, of course, the main star of the entire franchise, T-Rex.
Dinosaurs were created for Jurassic Park on this island.
Man has no place among these creatures. The revival of the Jurassic World is coming out on the 2nd of June, but the author of the original Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg, and screenwriter David Kapp are already preparing the next film. At the end of February, filming of their new blockbuster, which has changed its name, will start in New Jersey. Now the picture is not called a saucer, as previously stated, but an exposure, but it will still be associated with a flying saucer, and will focus on the 2 main characters. Well, judging by its name, the aliens in this movie will turn out to be fake. The release date is set for the 15th of May of the 26th year, and Universal will release the picture again, which still has time to prepare a vault for money. After all, they decided to make a powerful bet on nostalgia, returning not only their most profitable franchise, but also one of the most famous directors who created several classic franchises at once. Well, you and I know that classics and nostalgia are now in a special count among the audience, which Mufasa proved quite recently. The picture, although it did not reach the collections of The Lion King's dream, but it showed good endurance, and still replenishes the Disney treasury. Now Mufasa's box office is $671 million. So the picture even took the 7th place in the list of the highest-grossing films of the 24th year. Sonic 3, which recently became the 2nd highest-grossing video game adaptation in history, does not give up its position. At the moment, the movie about the Supersonic Hedgehog has collected $472 million. So now it is second only to the Super Mario Bros. In fees. But nevertheless, Supersonic Sonic has already been overtaken by Chinese animation. The Chinese fantasy cartoon Naya Defeats the Dragon King earned a whopping $434 million in the first weekend alone, which became an absolute record for animation in history. For example, the previous record holder, the recent Moana 2, collected $386 million at the world box office for the first weekend. But Naya collected her record box office in China alone, where it was released just in time for the Chinese New Year. In short, the Chinese have outplayed the Americans again, which, remembering the recent success of the Chinese neural network DeepSeek, seems to be a new trend. Although technically, the highest-grossing opening among animated films can still be awarded to Americans, because the remake of The Lion King 2019 collected $446 million in the first weekend. But Disney himself claims that this is a movie, not a cartoon, because all the characters were played by real actors, with motion capture technology. But if you insist, animation is also trending in the rest of the world right now. DreamWorks last week pleased with their new work called Dogman, Fluffy Justice. The picture has confidently started at the box office and has currently collected $66 million, which proves that animation is still one of the most popular genres. Horror films also do not lose popularity, as shown by the recently released companion film, which has already collected $26 million with a budget of 10. At the same time, the picture was enthusiastically received by both critics and the audience. The film is described as a mixture of black comedy, horror and sci-fi, where modern problems like technology, artificial intelligence and toxic relationships are raised, weaving them into an interesting plot with many twists. In short, it looks good. But Mel Gibson, it seems, took the first pass in his career, because his new action movie with Mark Wahlberg, A Particularly Dangerous Passenger, did not really go to critics. According to them, Gibson shot an absurd and unattractive bi-movie, which will seem catastrophically bad to some, and incredibly funny to others. And it seems that this happened, because ordinary viewers accepted this Gibson experiment much better. Now, A Particularly Dangerous Passenger has a dangerous mission, not to fail at the box office. After all, in 3 weeks at the box office, Gibson's action movie earned only $34 million with a budget of $25. So Wahlberg still has to work up to $15 million. But Robbie Williams still did not take out, because his biopic To Be the Best Story of Robbie Williams, released at the end of the 24th year, deafeningly failed at the box office. The picture was able to collect only $19 million, with a colossal budget for a biopic 110. Everything is gone. And it's a pity, because judging by the reviews, the picture went to everyone, from critics to the audience. So if you watched it, write in the comments how do you think it's worth watching. The audience also liked the new Marvel animated series, Your Friendly Neighbor Spider-Man. Critics were delighted with the comic book-styled animation and reinterpretation of the Spider canon, which we all already know by heart. But for ordinary viewers, such a rethinking did not go very far, and they rated the cartoon lower, although it was still above average. Well, again the same question. Have you watched it? How do you like it? Meanwhile, Sony enviously looks at how Disney makes money on a spider. So they have already started planning how to use the popularity of the hero to their advantage. According to rumors, the studio is going to restart its Spider universe after the release of Secret Wars, building a new franchise around Miles Morales. The grand finale of the multiverse saga, which will push different realities together, will clearly launch more than one new franchise, rewriting the old rules of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it is through Secret Wars that the studio plans to introduce the X-Men into the cinematic universe. They will be an already formed and well-known team in their universe, which will be quite young. If you believe the rumors about the cast of the picture, I have already told you that the role of Jean Grey can go to the star of Strange Affairs with Eddie Singh. Well, now it is reported that Cyclops can be played by Harris Dickinson, known for Kingsman: The Beginning. While Julia Butters from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino, claims to be Kitty Pryde. Whether this is true or not, we will find out very soon, because the restart of the X-Men can start filming as early as October of this year. At the same time, since the team will already be quite famous, we will not be shown their origin, which is partly reminiscent of the story of the Fantastic Four, which revealed itself to the public on the very first page of its debut issue in 1961st year. We decided to repeat the same technique in the cinema, with one difference. In the film, it will be an alternative universe, which will explain why no one is aware of the existence of the Four in the familiar timeline of the Avengers. Are the Fantastic Four the stars of the 60s? At the same time, the origin of the team will still be shown, but in flashbacks, which again repeats the debut issue of comics. This became known from the first teaser, which was recently published by Marvel Studio. And already according to the teaser, it is obvious that this version will be as canonical as possible, in the spirit of those 60s. The channel already has my first viewing of this teaser, the details of which were not so much for a full-fledged analysis. So according to tradition, here's a mini-analysis for you. The teaser opens the footage in the luxurious apartments of the Baxter Building, where, according to the canon, the headquarters of the Four was located. Such a gorgeous view of the panorama of alternative Manhattan is very similar to the view from the headquarters of the Avengers, Stark Tower, which is very similar to the Baxter Building from the outside. However, according to the futuristic Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, it is noticeable that the Baxter Building is much lower and is further away than the Stark Tower. But in fairness, it's worth noting that the whole familiar New York looks different, in a pronounced retro-futuristic style, which immediately reminds of Fallout, which had a very similar style of futurism of the 60s. Next, we are shown a robot assistant to the team, Herbie, who first appeared in the animated series Fantastic Four of the 78th year, where he replaced the Human Torch, to which the creators of the series had no rights. Herbie fell in love with the audience, so he later migrated to comics, where he became an assistant to the team. Well, now he has reached the big screens with a rather canonical design, only adapted to retrofuturism. In addition, it is not difficult to notice the parallels between Reed Richards and Tony Stark. Both are brilliant scientists who live in their own luxurious building with a beautiful blonde colleague. And both have created artificial intelligence as an assistant. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. In one of the frames below, we are shown Richards in front of a board with formulas, where you can see a drawing of a wormhole that connects 2 points of the plane. One point is marked as an input, and the other as an output. Well, next to it there is another signature, in which you can distinguish the word other. So it's very similar to the scheme of moving to another timeline. Richard probably found a way to travel between realities, which will then help him, along with the rest of the team, get to Earth 616. And it looks like an adaptation of the Dark Power comic, where Richard created a bridge between universes and went to alternative timelines. Well, the other day, journalist Alex Perez confirmed that the picture will dive deeper into the concept of the multiverse and present us with the fifth dimension, which has already been mentioned in the animated series What If, as the highest plane of existence from which the observers came. But more intriguingly, Galactus' motivation will also be rooted in the multiverse, because he will be looking for Franklin Richards, Reed's son, to rebuild his old universe with him. It's hard. And such an invention, which allows us to revise the fundamental ideas about the universe, again makes Richards related to Stark, who in Avengers finale created a device for time travel, and it, in fact, also moved to an alternative timeline. At that moment, as Richards writes the equation on the blackboard, in the background, you can see spacesuits located in a separate niche, like a museum exhibit, which means that the events of this scene clearly take place after the team receive their abilities. And it is unlikely to be related to their space mission, which is shown to us in the following frames. So there's no doubt that the team will get their powers just like in the comics, while traveling into space. And this confirms the canonical moment in which Sue Storm becomes invisible inside a spaceship with faulty wiring. No less canonical in the film will be the appearance of a creature that looks exactly like in the comics, which is why he will be an outcast among people. However, in the scenes with him, computer graphics are quite scorched, especially in the eyes, which make him look like an annoying orange. You're the biggest orange I've ever seen. What? I'm not an orange. You must be my big brother. But the actor who played the creature, Evan Moss Bacrock, hastened to reassure fans, assuring that the graphics are still tightened. I've only seen raw rendering, as creating graphics takes a lot of time. A lot of animators are working on it. I was wearing a motion capture suit, and 2 cameras captured absolutely everything. Every detail, every expression, every thought in my eyes. So it takes time to visualize all of this. Bacrock urged not to worry about the quality of graphics, since the team used Andy Serkis and Imaginarium Studio technologies on the set of the Fantastic Four. Therefore, it is not surprising that he is trying to disguise this graphonium with a cloak and hat, just as the Ninja Turtles did in the cult animated series of childhood. But no kidding, this is a classic plot for a creature when it becomes an outcast because of its creepy appearance. And most likely this scene takes place right after he gets the abilities, because then we are shown children in plastic creature masks. Which means that this frame belongs to the times when the team became popular, and people stopped being afraid of his appearance. By the way, Ben's makeup masks are a funny Easter egg, because they exist in the real world, and are quite rare. But when Ben watches his interview on TV, you can notice the name of this electronics store Kaplan, which is a reference to the Scarlet Witch's son Viken, whose name is Billy Kaplan. So it is possible that he will also appear in this film, and, through Wanda, will connect him with the events of the Multiverse of Madness. Next, we see the canonical abilities of Johnny Storm, who in his fiery form flies around New York and reaches the upper atmosphere, probably during his first flight, as Tony Stark did after creating his costume. By the way, please note that Mr. Fantastic is the only one whose abilities were not shown to us. Well, apparently the studio decided to stretch this moment and refine its graphics. Also in the teaser, we were shown the canonical car of the Fantastic Four. Fantastic. And this is exactly their famous car, as indicated by the company's blue color and the team logo on the radiator grille. And if you look at the front wing, you can even see its name there. Closer to the finale, John Malkovich lit up, who, according to rumors, played a villain named Red Ghost, and even the main villain of this universe himself, Galactus. But at the very end, there is a very interesting reference. The team is standing on stage, surrounded by decorative arrows, which exactly repeats the Beatles' performance on The Ed Sullivan Show. And this is especially interesting, because the Beatles were mega popular in the 60s, but at the end of the decade, the group broke up, and there will be a similar plot in the new Fantastic Four. The entire origin will be served as flashbacks, while the main action will unfold at a time when the team has already broken up. Broke up? How's the band? Like the Beatles. But during the screensaver, you can hear the name of the team being drunk off screen, which may refer to the screensaver of the animated series Fantastic Four of the 94th year. And this suggests that the studio will decide to use a familiar motif in the title theme, as it was with Spider-Man. Also, fans who watched the pre-launch stream with the report before the trailer heard the cat Morse in the music and have even deciphered it. The word radiation was encrypted there, which in itself says little. Probably, this is just a reference to the acquisition of their abilities by the heroes, because according to the canon, they received them after irradiation with cosmic rays and radioactive people. But not everything is so smooth with the Fantastic Four. Before releasing the trailer, the studio published several posters of the film, and if you look at one of them, you will notice that it was made with the help of neural networks and hack work. On the poster, you can see 2 women with the same face, a hand with 4 fingers instead of 5, buttons on a coat that do not connect anything, a disproportionate head of a woman, and a man poking his nose into the viewfinder. Well, the strangest thing is a grammatical error on one of the posters. There is clearly a word missing in the inscription of WIFO bio. But Marvel denies the accusation of using neural networks by all means. So let's assume that this is just their traditional hack.
Okay, that'll do.
But nevertheless, Kevin Feige clearly has nothing to worry about because the picture will definitely become a box office record holder, which proves the audience excitement around the first teaser. In one day, the video scored 202 million views, becoming the third most viewed debut teaser in Marvel history, second only to such giants as Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Deadpool, Wolverine. The foursome will be released on the 25th of July this year and will face James Gunn's Superman at the box office, which fans are waiting for even more. His first teaser for the day scored 250 million views. In short, it is also interesting that the fans also caught the Superman teaser in a hack. The last teaser of Superman was pelted with tomatoes because of the allegedly cross-eyed look of David the Root of Light during the flight, which, according to some, reveals the fact that it is computer graphics. Although there is obviously just a difference in the focus point. The camera is in front of his face, and he is looking into the distance, which is why this feeling is created. Here, for example, look. I look into the camera. I look into the distance. Into the camera. Into the distance. That's where I believe. That's a plus. I believe it. Well, let's hope that these marketing mistakes in the studio will learn to do well right away. And future superhero projects will be able to interest us more than the current ones. Now all hope is for Dr. Doom, who will become the main villain of Avengers, Judgment Day, and rumors claim that he will get a lot of screen time, as well as Spider-Man, who will play a key role in the crossover. So we are waiting for a legendary meeting. Hi there. How are you, Mr. Stark? Benedict Cumberbatch should also keep Downey Jr. and Holland company, despite his words that he will miss the fifth Avengers. I was wrong. I'll be in the next Avengers. Don't believe anything I say. I don't believe it. We should also expect the return of the old X-Men. At least it is reported that Kelsey Grammer will return in the role of the Beast in the future Avengers, as well as Deadpool Wolverine, who will appear in Doomsday as a cameo, and then play an important role in the Secret Wars. And this, it seems, was confirmed the other day by Jackman himself, who cancelled his performance at a concert in London's Hyde Park, scheduled for the 6th of July, and all because of problems with his schedule. Well, at this time, the shooting of Doomsday will take place, so it's not hard to guess that it was because of them, that the actor cancelled participation in such a large concert. But the craziest Camilla is waiting for us very soon, because Kevin Feige wants to return Jonathan Majors to the film universe, who will again play Kong the Conqueror in order to logically close the plot with the Kangas and focus on Dr. Doom. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it seems that really crazy times are coming. After all, the Doomsday events threaten to plunge the Marvel multiverse into complete chaos, in which there will be a place for the craziest stories, since in Secret Wars, the multiverse will reboot anyway. One of these stories should be the Hulk's World War, about which there have been many rumors lately. It is reported that the plot of the picture will take place in the world of battles, which means that the new Sony Hulk will be released between the 5th and 6th Avengers. In addition, the studio is going to screw up madness in the mystical plot of Kang, which, according to an insider, may be at the center of the next big chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a supernatural saga. There, the heroes will face a mythist who will make a real hell out of New York, and the captured Avengers Tower will be their base, which will repeat the plot arc of the curse from the Doctor Strange comics, in which Mephisto captured Las Vegas. Well, as I have already told you in the news videos, Mephisto is now officially a canon fork, because he was mentioned in the series It's All Agatha. His appearance also opens the way for the debut of the classic Black Panther opponent about Cheb, who, according to rumors, will be the main villain of Black Panther 3, and his role can be played by Denzel Washington. In the comics about Cheb, after the death of the rebel corpse, he sold the soul of Mephisto to return to life, and take revenge on his killers, after which he repeatedly tried to capture Wakanda. With such a villain, it is not surprising that there were reports that the Panther treacle would be different in tone from the first two films, and would be closer to horror and mysticism. So it turns out that the vampire horror Sinners, which Ryan Coogler recently finished shooting, is a kind of training in the genre before Black Panther 3. Sinners recently received a new dark trailer that promises an atypical Southern Gothic vampire horror, about two brothers returning from Chicago to the South of America, where slavery was recently abolished, but eventually encounter bloodsuckers. We will kill every last one. However, according to rumors from test screenings, Sinners turned out to be an uneven film that failed to maintain a balance between different genres. But whether this is true or not, we will find out on the 18th of April. Conflicting opinions are also voiced about the new film by Paul Thomas Anderson, which will be called One Battle After Another. Recently, there have been disturbing rumors that the Warners doubt that the painting, on which about $150 million were spent, will be able to pay off. Those who have already watched it describe it as terribly strange, so the studio fears that not everyone will like it, because Anderson's highest-grossing film, Oil, collected only $76 million. We have a problem. Nevertheless, the reviews from the last test show inspire more optimism. Those who looked at the picture liked it. It will be a free adaptation of Thomas Pynchon's novel Vineland, which describes as a film chase, where for 3 hours one big action scene replaces another. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays the main role, predictably praises Here I am, me. But especially note the main villain of the picture, Lockshow, played by Sean Penn. It is claimed that he played a reference villain who, after the film, will cause people nightmares.
It's scary, very scary.
By the way, Sean Penn is the brother of Chris Penn, who lit up with another cult director, Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino, by the way, recently spoke critically about the state of modern cinema, saying that streaming killed cinema. Okay, what are movies now? Something that symbolically goes out for fucking weeks, and then by the second week, you can watch them on TV. I didn't start making movies for the sake of diminishing profits. I want to say that it was bad back in '97, in 2019 too. And that was the last fucking year for movies. What do you think? Do you agree? Perhaps that is why he is now working on a play instead of writing his last 10th film. So his departure from the cinema is being postponed for the time being. But the real reason is that Tarantino wants to wait until his son is old enough so that he can remember shooting the picture for the rest of his life. The idea of starting to do this while my children are too young to understand something does not appeal to me. I don't want to make my next movie until my son is at least 6. Then at least he will understand what is happening, and he will have memories for his whole life. But it seems that Quentin would just have to learn from his colleague in the shop, M. Night Shyamalan, who, after an already impressive filmography, is not going to stop, and is already preparing his next project. A supernatural romantic thriller, in which Jake Gyllenhaal is being considered for the main role. Well, this year Gyllenhaal will appear in the new action movie Gaethje, along with Henry Cavill, who very soon may change guns to a lightsaber. Yes, may time to shine shared an insider that Cavill could play in one of the next full-length Star Wars. And there have been rumors about this for a long time. And Cavill himself said back in the 16th year that he would like to play a villain in a film about a distant galaxy. When you like being Superman, but secretly you want to be the bad guy in Star Wars. And now that he has been replaced as Superman, he wants to try himself in a galaxy far, far away. Meanwhile, the rest of Hollywood seems to be getting ready to star in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, which has already assembled an impressive cast. But the other day, several other celebrities who have already worked with Nolan joined the project. Elliot Page, Hamish Hotel, Bill Irwin, and Benny Sebdi. Elliot, the former Helen, starred in The Beginning, The Hotel in The Argument, Irwin voiced Tars in Interstellar, and Sebdi appeared in Oppenheimer, and is also known for having made the film Uncut Diamonds with Adam Sandler together with his brother Josh. Also, Samantha Morton, known for The Walking Dead, joined the cast, and now the media and the year are negotiating. Who last year shone in the horror Maxim 3X.
Maxim fucking Min.
And while Nolan is preparing to immerse us in ancient Greek mythology, the new god of war is going to immerse us in ancient Egyptian. Insider Daniel Rickman reported that the studio is now hiring actors of Arab origin for a role in some major game. And in his opinion, this game is a new God of war in the setting of ancient Egypt. Egyptian power. Well, in general, such an idea would be best suited for the series that Amazon is currently working on, since it would eliminate the need to retell stories already familiar to players. But most likely the series will tell the story of Kratos all over again. And recently, we have a contender for the role of the mighty god of war, Finn Wolfhard. Who is this nigga? Yes, he said he wanted to play Kratos. It would be cool to play his skinny son in the film adaptation of The Bastard 4. And in general, you know what? Better than Kratos himself. I'll pump up. The star of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Simu also seriously intends to join the world of video games. Back in the 22nd year, the actor hinted that he was working on an adaptation of Sleeping Dogs. But since then, nothing has been heard about the project, until earlier this year, Donnie Yen, who was supposed to play in the project, said that the picture was cancelled. But despite this, Liu did not give up, and took matters into his own hands. Soon he announced that he was negotiating to obtain the rights to the film adaptation of the game, and a week later insiders began to say that the adaptation of Sleeping Dogs was already in the works. Well, as expected, Simu will play the main role, a police officer, who is being introduced into the Chinese mafia triad. And since Hollywood has blown away the dust with the adaptation of Sleeping Dogs, maybe they will remember about the film adaptation of one of the best ARPs of recent years, Kind, which was rumored a few years ago. In the meantime, the Czechs are tearing up the gaming industry with the second part, which, judging by the reviews, has done the impossible, has become the best originals in all respects. Journalists put the second part on a par with such great ARPs as Skyrim and The Witcher, praising the brilliant script, excellent graphics, and an immersive open world that captures players for hours. I haven't started yet, I'm just watching videos online. I want to make myself a birthday present, and set aside a full-fledged couple of days for this. But one thing is clear so far, Kind Can Delivers 2 is a serious contender for the Game of the Year. However, this year he will have to meet with the main titan of the gaming industry, TOS6. And despite the fact that more than a year has passed since the release of the first trailer, and there has been no news, the game is not going to be postponed yet, as it became known from the report of Tech2. It also became became known from it that Ta 5 sold out in almost 12 years with a circulation of 210 million copies, and Red Redemption to 70 million. But Ta 6 is not the only sixth part of the famous series that we will see in the near future, because Electronics is already preparing the return of Battles and has already published the first trailer, and it looks in the best traditions of the Battlefield and with a new, upgraded destructibility. After the failure with the Battlefield 2042, which caused a flurry of criticism from the players, and quickly lost all popularity, and they are in no hurry to announce the release date of the sixth part. I'm trying to take into account my mistakes, for which I threw all my strength into development. Because of this, they even put a new Need for Speed on pause, transferring its developers to the Battlefield, who are going to release it before April 26th, but for now the company is conducting a closed test of the game. But you shouldn't worry about the new ENSF either, because she was promised to take into account the feedback of the players about the Unbound, in order to make the next part better. It was important for us to take a year to listen to the fans and use their feedback to create content for Unbound. And now, with a more complete understanding of what the players want from Need for Speed, we are planning to return the franchise in a new, very interesting way. Do we believe? I believed it. Well, that's nonsense. But Igromir and Kamikon are returning to our country. Let me remind you that the last time the events were held in the 2019, but in the 2020. The festival was cancelled due to the pandemic and has not been held since. However, Yandex is going to fix this, having bought the Igromir and Kamikon trademarks and plan to hold events this year. Insiders report that they can tell something new about Atomic Heart as well as the Fantasy Diamond Sword, a wooden sword that is being developed based on the novel of the same name by Nick Paramev. In short, the main domestic Gekfest is officially returning. So I guess I'll see you. If, of course, I am called to it. Of course. Of course. Some good news also concerns our rental, because the John Wick Ballerina spin-off will officially be released in Russian cinemas. The release will take place on the 5th of June, the day before the film is released worldwide, not counting several local markets. Another surprise last week was the first teaser of a new destination with the subtitle Blood Ties, which will be released this year, just in time for the 25th anniversary of the series. And judging by the video, we are waiting for a decent comeback, bloody and inventive. The return of the cult horror is scheduled for the 15th of May this year. Speaking of returns, Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson have returned to the roles of Rust Cole and Marty Hart from the first season of True Detective. The truth is only in the commercial, but this video was written and shot by the author of The Real Detective, Nick Piccilotta, hoping to urge the Texas authorities to introduce support measures for filming in the state. Dennis K. Waite, Billy Bob Thornton, and Renee Zellweger also appeared in the video. Well, and the cult series Buffy the Vampire Slayer of the 90s is also going to bring our old school together. As it became known, Hulu is now going to shoot a pilot of Buffy's relaunch, the main role in which will be repeated by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Buffy in the original series. But Chloe Zhao, known from The Land of Nomads and Marvel's Eternal, will shoot the pilot series. Waiting. Well, now I'll tell you what's new to watch in movies and online. The sci-fi thriller companion about a sex android has been released worldwide, in which, after hacking, self-awareness, and a desire to get rid of its owner are born. Fiction Love Me will tell you about two intelligent machines that meet online and fall in love. Well, the cartoon from DreamWorks Dogman Fluffy Justice is about a police officer who manages to be saved from death by transplanting his dog's head to him so that he gets the name Dogman. The domestic historical thriller Evil City, about the 7-week defense of the city of Kozelsk from the Mongolian army, has been released. In the Russian rental, the comedy Lottery will tell about two men who are forced to put aside their differences in pursuit of a $1 billion prize, which they agreed to divide in half. Also in the cinema are the French musical Broken Hearts about the first love of an excellent student and a guy from the streets, which breaks out again with force many years later, when their lives have changed a lot, as well as the cartoon The Most Valuable Cargo, in which the wife of a forester during World War II finds a baby thrown out of the train of death. But the villagers, frightened consequences, demand to get rid of it. The Mona 2 cartoon has been released in online cinemas, in which Mona and Maui go in search of the legendary island of Matufatu, in order to break the curse that threatens the people living on the islands. Adam Ghost Cat Anzu will tell about the friendship between a girl and a ghost cat who becomes her guardian. In the action movie The Hunt for Thieves, two panthers, a former policeman from an elite unit, leads the hunt for an elusive thief who plans to rob a diamond exchange. The thriller Bad Girl tells about the head of a large company who has a dirty affair with a young intern, which soon threatens their reputation. Disney Plus has launched the animated series Your Friendly Neighbor Spider-Man, which tells about a schoolboy Peter Parker, who is trying to combine the ordinary extraordinary life of a teenager and superhero activities under the supervision of mentor Norman Osborn. Amazon also pleased Prime subscribers with animated superheroics, the third season of Invincible, about the son of the most powerful superhero in the world. Well, on gaming platforms, the historical RPG kind Cam Deliverers 2 is already available, the action of which takes place in Europe of the 15th century, based on real events. The second Spider-Man has been released on the PC, in which Spider-Man will have to meet new deadly enemies Kraven Hunter and Venom. In the action, Sniper Elite Resistance Sniper confronts the Third Reich in occupied France. Well, in this action game, a young sorceress is going to save the world, in which a magical catastrophe has occurred. But there is also a new addition for Atomic Heart, called Enchantment Undersea, where players will have to explore an underwater complex. Well, I didn't really have time to see anything last week, because it was my wedding anniversary. We went out of town, had a rest. In short, it was not up to that. The only thing I watched was the first 4 episodes of the second season of Separation. A stylish, chic series, I love it very much. The first season actually. It's kind of too early to draw conclusions about the second one, because it's only the 4th series out of 10, that is. There's still nothing really to talk about, because nothing is clear as usual. Everything is twisted, but nothing is clear. But I have a certain feeling that this series is very stretched. That's right, each episode feels like it's been tortured. There are a lot of slow plans. Of course I understand, this is art, this is cinematography. I want to immerse myself in this gorgeous visual, in this gorgeous atmosphere, to see all this religious symbolism, all the absurdity. But this series leaves so many questions and thoughts, and it confuses so much that it seems to me that with such a pace in the second season, nothing will unravel for sure. But I really want to be wrong. I want something to begin to clear up now from the 5th series. Otherwise, there are simply too many options for what can be in your head. From video games, I continue to play Indiana Jones, and more recently, I decided to join retro gaming and downloaded to Steam Deck emojis and a bunch of just old games from the era of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I want to shake my ass, get nostalgic, and go through games that I didn't pass at that time, one of which is Bewley and King Hearts. In short, I just wanted something. From YouTube channels, this time again, I will advise you Logvinov, because he released his big Giga review of King Cam Delivery 2 into open access, not for sponsors, but just for everyone. And this is a video that you should watch. This is the same lamp analysis as in the good old days when we were waiting for TA 5, TA 4. In general, everything is in the best traditions. If you want to catch fire with the love of games, come and take a look. Well, I will advise you one more videos. I was just assembling a desktop for myself here. In short, I bought myself a lifting table, a large monitor, as you can see. Widescreen. I am very pleased with him and am looking for a chair now. And I came across a video in which a dude, he doesn't have so many subscribers there, 12,000 subscribers, just made a crazy mega analysis of gaming chairs. Here's a look at why the entire gaming chair industry is called a total scam. The channel is called Shaft 2, I don't know why, don't ask. In general, look, really cool videos, cool review, fun, and very informative. Well, gaming chairs are a bench. Well, now it's your time to advise me which movies, TV series, YouTube videos to watch, as well as which games to play. And I'm really looking forward to advice on retro gaming, what to go through from the old one. I'm waiting. Well, that's all. I hope you liked it, and you will put your own and informational video on this. Like, we cut films.